If you think that horror stories about Bigfoot are scary, then you ain't heard of the Kalanoro. The Kalanoro are hairy, humanoid creatures that live in the deepest parts of the woods, far away from civilization and prying eyes. Most of what we know about these creatures comes from travelers who have ventured into the dark and brooding forests of eastern Congo and returned with tales of terror. They describe these mysterious beings as small men, covered in hair that walk backwards and have coal-like eyes. When they stand up on their hind legs, they can be over 6 feet tall, but most of the time they move around on all fours, like hairy bears. And if you encounter them in the wild, you might not get the chance to tell anyone about it, because they reset to eviscerate anyone who sees them. Now this sounds like a typical Bigfoot or Sasquatch sighting, right? Well, actually, it's closer to an ogreoid creature like the dreaded Yowie, or even the Yeti. The idea is that these things are humanoids, but they're not necessarily apes. But there's more to the story than just hairy bipeds with a taste for flesh. There's something else lurking in the depths of the Congolese jungle. Something that looks like a hyena. According to legend, there are 2 types of Kalaniro, the short ones and the tall ones. Both are extremely rare, so seeing one in the wild is a real stroke of bad luck. The smaller variety stands between 3 and 4 feet, when on 2 legs, and they move through the trees with ease. Some say that they resemble gorillas, but others claim that they look more like baboons. Their fur is usually black, though some have been spotted with reddish-brown coats. One thing everyone seems to agree on is that they have round yellow eyes that glow in the dark. This is unsurprising since we know that many nocturnal animals have evolved to see better in low-light conditions, but it does make the creature even scarier. Imagine stumbling through a pitch-black forest at night, and suddenly you hear a noise in the trees above you. You look up and see a pair of glowing yellow eyes staring back at you. There are also the tall ones. These creatures stand between 6 to 7 feet tall, and are covered in long flowing hair. They don't climb trees like the small ones, but instead prefer to stay on the ground, where they move on 2 legs. Their faces are frightening indeed, with large protruding jaws and long beards. They're also incredibly strong and can easily overpower a human. And if that weren't enough, they have razor-sharp claws that they use to slash and dice their victims. These tall Kalaniro are said to travel in groups and hunt in packs, which means that there's safety in numbers. If you want to survive a Kalanoro encounter, your best bet is to flee as fast as possible and hope that they don't catch you. But why are they always moving on their hind legs? Is it just because they're big and hairy? Actually, there's a more sinister reason. See, they have a nasty habit of eating their victims alive, starting with their entrails. That's why it's best to run away before they get a chance to rip your guts out and gobble them up. But that's not all. The Kalaniro are also known to cannibalize each other. They don't seem to mind whether their prey is human or another Kalaniro. All they care about is getting their hands on some fresh meat. Now, you might be wondering why the Kalaniro are always moving backwards. It's not because they're shy or afraid of being seen. It's because they can't help it. They were born that way. You see, the Kalaniro were cursed by a witch doctor, after he angered them by trespassing into their sacred forest. The witch doctor had wanted to gather some herbs for his patients, but he didn't realize that he was in the middle of a Kalaniro nesting ground. When they found him there, they attacked him and threw him into a nearby river. The water had magical properties, though, and it turned the witch doctor into a Now he roams the forest with his new brethren, forever cursed to walk backwards. Of course, this is just a legend. There's no evidence that any such curse exists, let alone that it could turn humans into weird ape-like creatures. But it does explain why the Kalanoro seem so intent on killing anything that ventures into their territory. They're protecting their own. But the question remains, what exactly are they? The Kalanoro have been described as everything from humans to apes, to demons. So it's hard to know what to make of them. They don't seem to be related to any known species, but that doesn't mean they don't exist. After all, we only discovered the existence of Bigfoot and the Yeti within the past century or so. And who knows how many other cryptids are out there waiting to be found. The Kalanoro may not be as well known as some of their cousins, like the Sasquatch or the Wendigo, but that doesn't mean they're any less real. In fact, there's a good chance that the Kalanoro are even more dangerous than some of these other cryptids. After all, they're said to be incredibly elusive, only appearing to those who wander into their territory by accident. Most people never see one in their entire lives, and those who do are usually too scared to speak about it afterward. The truth is, we don't know much about the Kalanoro at all. What we do know is that they're feared by those who live in the forests of Congo. They're not just some made-up story to scare kids. No, The Kalanoro are real creatures that prowl the night, looking for something to eat. Maybe they are cursed witch doctors. Maybe they're a type of ape we haven't discovered yet. Or maybe they're something else entirely. But one thing's for sure, if you ever see one in the wild, you'd better run. Otherwise, you'll be joining the list of people who have vanished in the Congo. Some say that the Kalanoro are responsible for some of these disappearances, but we can't be sure. After all, there are plenty of other dangers lurking in the jungle, like poisonous snakes and malaria. It's also possible that the Kalanoro are just trying to avoid humans, but they're so elusive that it's hard to say for sure. Some believe that the Kalanoro are intelligent creatures who understand the danger that humans pose to them. That's why they attack anyone who enters their territory. They're not trying to be mean, they're just trying to protect themselves. Others say that the Kalanoro are nothing more than savage beasts, pure evil given human-like traits by the storytellers. They don't think or feel anything, they just act on instinct. But if that's the case, why do they seem to be targeting humans in particular? Are they attracted to our scent? Or do they simply view us as a food source? We don't know. What we do know is that the Kalanoro are a mystery that will probably never be solved. The truth is, we don't need to know much more about them to be terrified. The idea of a man-eating beast lurking in the shadows is enough to send shivers down our spines. Just imagine hearing the sound of heavy footsteps behind you as you make your way through the forest. You turn around slowly and see a hulking figure standing over 6 feet tall, covered in long flowing hair. Its eyes glow like coals in the darkness, and its sharp claws glisten in the moonlight. You try to scream, but no sound comes out of your mouth. The beast takes a step towards you, and everything goes black. But the Kalanoro aren't the only ones who can strike fear into people's hearts. Believe it or not, there are plenty of places around the world where people vanish without a trace, and nobody knows why. From the Bermuda Triangle to the Devil's Sea, there are plenty of mysteries that have never been solved. But some of these mysteries are more fascinating than others. For example, did you know that a US Navy pilot once encountered a giant humanoid creature that was over 8 feet tall? Or that a British explorer saw a strange blue-green monster that resembled a reptile? Well, if you want to hear more incredible stories about cryptids and other monsters, then click on this video next. Just remember, some things are best left unknown.